Tonight, no, oh my God. Tonight, January 21st, 2025, we're opening this meeting at, what's the time? 6:46 p.m. And first of all, I would like to welcome our committee members, Akil Peck, Rihanna Dice. I also would like to thank the consuls that are here tonight, Jeff Hart, our president, Efrain Dominguez, and our consular, Alma Nartates. Thank you, and let's start this meeting. Okay. Also, I would like to thank all the public that are here tonight. Thank you so much for coming.
Chairperson Rosario, I would like to start the nominations.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion to, this is for the Board of Ethics Board, to nominate Kathy Foley and to nominate William Hathaway.
Can I have a second?
I would like to second that. I think that Catherine Foley would be an excellent addition, and I fully support.
Let's go vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. There's any discussion? The motion's carry.
I would like to make my second nomination. This is for Parks and Recreation Commission. The first person I would like to nominate for that is Ricardo Pratt, excuse me. The second is Benjamin Hyde, and the third is Carrie Sheridan.
May I have a second?
I'll second that nomination.
Let's go vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All the opposed say nay. Any discussions? The motion's carry. You got any other nominations?
I do, excuse me. This is Senior Affair Commission, and Bessie Gibson Pierce, hopefully I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I would like to nominate, make a motion to nominate her for, to be on this commission.
Can I have a second, please? I'll second it. Let's go vote. Any discussions? Any opposed? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay.
I'd like to abstain.
Okay. The motion's carried to nothing.
A Beautification Committee, and Gina, and hopefully I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Instead, I'm going to spell it. So Twartz, I think that's correct. Gina, nominating her for the Beautification Committee.
I'll second that nomination.
All right, any discussions? Let's go vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The motion's carried.
And this will be the last one, the Historical District Commission. Jane Barton, but in parentheses, we have Jane Griffin, so I think both names are acceptable. Oh, Jane Gifford is an alternate member of the Historical District Commission. So we have two nomination, one for 2 years, or one appointed, excuse me, and the other ones are alternate member. Oh, it is, that's both her names. Okay, I appreciate that, thank you. Excuse me for that.
No
So we
problem.
do have both names on record. Thank you.
Before we're gonna call for any discussions, I just wanna clarify this. This is the position for a 5-year term, right? Okay, let's get any discussions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The motion's carried. May I have a motion to close the meeting?
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
So this meeting is ending. Let's vote, sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion is carried. So this meeting is ending at 6:53 p.m. today, on January 21st, 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rosario. Just to tell the audience, those that are here, those that are watching, in about 7 minutes, we'll start the city council meeting.
Thank you. Okay. Twas. Okay, that's a pretty name. Okay. I tell you, okay, you gotta, this is terrible, but
21st, Tuesday, 2025. At this time, I want to welcome everyone that's here, those in the city chamber, those watching through our YouTube channel. I want to welcome the mayor, Mayor Passero, Attorney Landrigan, Director McBride. I want to welcome also City Clerk Jonathan Ayala, Director of Recreation John Bosey, who's here. Thank you for coming. And also want to make sure that we welcome our Administrative Assistant, Jenny Starts. So with that, I'm going to ask our wonderful counselor, Counselor Rihanna Dice. Rihanna Dice, you have the prayer and the pledge.
I'm going to ask everyone just to stay seated at this moment, and we're going to have a moment of silence. And during this moment of silence, because everyone is dealing with so many different things throughout our community, throughout our state, throughout the United States, and throughout this world, I'm asking during this moment of silence that you take a time to focus in on those things that is near and dear to you. As we go forward today, I pray that our steps will be encouraging and supporting to this community. And as we realize that this community is a part of a larger community. So as we think about what we need here in New London, think about how that affects the surrounding community. I ask that everyone at the sound of my voice understand that we are here to do what is best for our community. And I ask that one thing that we can join in, touch, and agree that we need to be encouraging, uplifting, and we need to always strive for peace. I ask these things in God's name. Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In Spanish, please.
Prometo lealtad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación ante Dios indivisible con libertad y justicia para todos.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Ooh, nice. Thank you, Councilor Dice. All right, at this time, we are getting ready to have a presentation about the Center for Housing Equity and Opportunity in Eastern Connecticut. Again, there's going to be a presentation of the Center for Housing Equity and Opportunity in Eastern Connecticut, and that will be done by Beth Sibilia. You're welcome. Yeah, I think she's going to sit over there. No problem. Welcome. You have the floor.
Thank you, Council President Dominguez, Mr. Mayor, for the invitation, council members. My name is Beth Sibilia. I am the Director of the Center for Housing Equity and Opportunity in Eastern Connecticut. It is located right here in our great city of New London. Just bear with me a second. I am borrowing your...
Thank you. And Beth, make sure you get as close to that mic so
Okay,
we can, yep.
I'll stay close.
Thank you. Want to make sure everyone hears you here and in the audience, because it's being recorded.
So I appreciate the invitation to be here this evening. CHEO's mission is to align a diverse coalition of practitioners, policymakers, residents, and community organizations to collectively identify and build upon community-driven and data-informed solutions that preserve, protect, and produce safe and affordable housing for all. At CHEO, we believe that equitable access to housing that is safe, affordable, and connected to resources is a human right and critical infrastructure for a thriving region. We envision a future where every resident of Eastern Connecticut, regardless of income, race, or ethnicity, has access to a safe and affordable home as a foundation to pursue their goals. Our core strategic partners include the Housing Collective, the Partnership for Strong Communities, and LISC Connecticut. Our regional partners include the Community Foundation of Eastern Connecticut, Connecticut College, Eastern Connecticut State University, and the United Way of Southeastern Connecticut. We provide technical assistance and capacity building through direct technical assistance to towns to help them implement their affordable housing plans. We create peer learning opportunities through informational webinars, meetings, and networks. We support partners in this work, and we support the development of affordable housing pipelines in the region. We also provide resources such as research and tools, including the Housing Needs Assessment, which we will discuss tonight. The Eastern Connecticut Housing Needs Assessment covers the region. We consider the region to be the eastern third of the state of Connecticut, so New London, Wyndham, and Tolland counties. We established a data advisory team that included all 4 councils of government that have towns in CHEO's region, Hartford Healthcare, and Sector. So they were all part of the oversight of this study. And what we found was that since 2010, now this is collectively for all 3 counties, the population has decreased by 10,000 people, a little bit more. And the number of households has increased by nearly 6,000. More than 56% of the homes are only 2 people. So 56% of the homes in our region are for 1 to 2 people, but only 40% of the homes are designed for that type of household. Nearly 56,000 residents in the eastern part of the state earn at or below 80% of the region's area mean income, but there are only 25,000 affordable housing units available for those neighbors. Since 2000, almost half of the region's municipalities, unlike New London, built no 2 to 4 family unit buildings like duplexes or townhomes. And a full quarter of the municipalities in Eastern Connecticut built no multifamily housing at all. The region builds roughly half as many homes annually now as it did in the beginning of the 2000s. So the recession really knocked the stuffing out of our housing market, and it has for more than 20 years. And there are more than 58,000 households that live either at the poverty level or just above it. They're part of our, what we call the Alice community, and we'll talk about that. So the trends that we're seeing are condensed right here in this chart. As I said, more than 60% of the households in Eastern Connecticut contain 1 to 2 people. But only 40% of the homes in Eastern Connecticut are designed with 2 bedrooms or fewer. So there's a mismatch right there. 29,000 households earn at or below 80% of our county area mean income, but there are only 14,000 affordable housing units for that population. And then less than 5% of the homes built since 2000 consist of 2 to 4 unit buildings, which like townhomes or duplexes. These homes tend to be more affordable and right-sized options for smaller families, older adults, and our workforce. So what do we see in New London? New London is not an outlier. It has lost population, and it has increased households. So New London has lost about 370 residents, but it has increased 351 households. So there's a difference between your population and your household. And you can see all along New London County that that remains true. what are our family sizes look like and what is a household. You can read right here on the charts. 40% of the people in New London live alone. 24% of us live in two-person families. And about 9% live in two-person non-families. So you can see we're living differently than we think of what a family or a household looks like. But then when you look at the data, you see that most of us live alone or with one other person. And again, it's not an outlier. The same is true in New London County. 41% of your housing stock is owner-occupied, and 59% is renter-occupied. What type of units are people living in? In New London, about 34% of your population lives in single-family detached homes. 33% live in homes of more than 5 units, so larger buildings, what we would consider larger buildings. And New London is a little bit different than New London County as a whole. And you can think that rings true, right? I mean, you go just to Waterford and you see very few 3 to 4 unit multifamilies or even 2 families. You see a few more in New London. New London's getting older and younger. Most of the towns in eastern Connecticut are simply getting older. We in New London are seeing that same trend, and that shows on the graph on the left. You have an increase in population of people 65 and older, and you have a decrease in kids under the age of 19. And you also see a little bit of it, I didn't print it here, but you also see a little bit of a decrease in your student pupil population. And I say you're younger because the bulk of your residents, well, if you're going to talk about the majority on the list trend under the age of 30. If you look, New London has one of the highest population of 20 to 29-year-olds in eastern Connecticut, nearly 20%. That's why I say you're older and younger. The housing stock in New London, while charming and beautiful and quintessentially New England, is old. And with that charm comes increased maintenance and increased costs. More than 50% of New London's housing, nearly 54%, is over 75 years old. So with that comes additional costs. And I just listed to compare to New London, compared to Groton, less than 20% of Groton's housing is 75 years old. Jobs continue to increase in New London. The graph on the left shows you New London, Tolland, and Windham counties. And you can see there was a dip just before 2020, and then jobs have continued to increase at a relatively rapid rate in terms of overall employment. I want to talk about area mean income for a minute. I talked about area mean income, so I looked it up for New London. And I used a 4-person family. The numbers are listed there. So if you're making 30%, you're making $34,000. 50% is $57,000. 80%, $85,000. So that should give you the real numbers in terms of what an area mean income for the city of New London is for a 4-person family. I also want to note that if you add up your percentiles, you also have 30% of your community making above 80% area mean income. But I wanted to stop for a minute and talk about ALICE. Our partners at the United Way develop an ALICE report. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it. It means that you are asset limited, income constrained, and employed, but you're still not making what's called a survival budget. So you're making more than the federal poverty limit, but you're not making enough to afford childcare and rent and utilities and groceries. You just can't make it. So a significant portion of New London's household is ALICE, and that is something I wanted to note for all of you. It's not, you will see that red graph is carried across many municipalities in eastern Connecticut, especially in New London. There are a lot of ALICE households. It just speaks to the gap between wage and expense to live. There's enough affordable housing, right? So I wanted to talk about New London in particular. New London has actually seen an overall increase in the number of affordable housing units. In 2012, there were almost 20% of your units, 19.9% of the units were deemed affordable under the state's Affordable Housing Appeal List. In 2022, that number had increased to nearly 23%. So New London is going in the right direction in terms of percentage of units coming online that are deemed affordable. And for that, I think you should continue what you're doing and expand on your efforts to protect those that are really being pinched. The cost to buy a house, all of you know, continues to rise. I looked at it this afternoon, the city of New London last month, the average median single-family home price was $294,000, which leads to the poorest being the most cost burden. In New London, households below 30% of area mean income are considered cost burden. Households between, I think that's a typo, excuse me, between 50% and 80% are cost burden. Cost burden it considers, so cost burden is if you pay more than 30% of your income on housing, you are cost burden. If you pay more than 50% of your income on housing, you are severely cost burden. In New London, you can see the poorest of your residents are severely cost burden, which makes sense when you looked at the area mean income, just the overall cost to keep a roof over your head. So the needs for the city of New London are the same as the region and are the same as the state and are the same as the nation. We need to have diverse housing types to fit all varieties of ages, lifestyles, and incomes. Housings of all types, single family, duplex, triplexes, multifamily, shared housing, micro units, single room occupancy, all of them need to be on the table in order to protect those that are significantly, severely cost burden. You also need to look at the needs of that 30% of your population over 80% AMI. And I want to talk a minute. My folks looked in the city for 7 years to replace their center entrance colonial with a ranch. They wanted to stay near their neighbors, they wanted to stay in their neighborhood, and it took them 7 years to find it. Did they look in neighboring communities? They did, but they never wanted to leave the city of New London again. And fortunately for them, one came on the market. It shouldn't take residents 7 years to find a suitable house when they want to stay in your city. So increased inventory is key for you to keep all of your residents in the city and to continue the increase that you see in households. Mixed income, mixed use housing, to co-locate housing with transit, jobs, services, and recreation. The city knows it's a gem in that it's poised perfectly for all of, I just heard the train behind me. I mean, this project next door is going to be fabulous for the neighbors and the neighborhood. Rehabilitation of existing housing stock and optimization of infill opportunities. We need to look at, New London's fortunate in that it has CDBG money so that it can set up preservation programs for its residents. Those preservation programs shouldn't only be on the backs of municipalities, and one of the things that CHEO is going to focus on is asking for private support for additional rehab of naturally occurring and affordable housing. Thoughtful and innovative, high-quality design to counter the perception of public housing and affordable housing. New London is poised to start its renovation of the Gordon Court property. That is an opportunity to add additional units in that income band of 0 to 30% AMI. It needs to be thoughtful, innovative, and high-quality design if you're ever going to get a counter to the public perception of affordable or publicly supported housing. So impediments to those diverse housing types include zoning and building regulations, NIMBYism, a lack of quality design and accepted design types, a lack of grant funding to fill financing gaps. In particular, we're going to see additional squeezes in federal funding. Lack of capacity and to coordinate, to facilitate the development at a local level. New London is uniquely privileged in that it has development staff. There are many communities in Eastern Connecticut that have a part-time planner that come in and essentially try and keep the city or town running. So New London has great capacity there, but CHIO stands ready to help the nonprofit developers in your community close some capacity gaps. In Eastern Connecticut, we have fewer builders. We just have fewer builders. So we don't have as much ability to do something other than single-family housing. This data is offered in a way to help you make additional factual, data-driven decisions, to understand the current challenges to creating and preserving affordable housing, and allowing you to make decisions that help foster housing stability in your community. That's our location. We're at Chelsea Groton Bank on the corner of Bank and Montauk. With me is Nicole McCormack, who did project manager for CHIO. We also have on staff and through philanthropy have the services of a regional planner, Caroline Wells. She is doing such varied work as submitting funding applications, responding to RFPs, and helping to move housing projects forward. If there are any questions, I stand ready to take them. So thank you for your time.
You're welcome, thank you. Beth, any questions from this? All right, Councilor Dice.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you. Very well done presentation, because what's amazing when you was sharing with the growth and really the overall age group of our community. And one of the things that you had said was about we have to look at, you know, all the different funding streams. And also you mentioned that with the private donors, you know, looking to asking them to invest. And I don't expect for you to have the answer right now, but something that that I hold dear to my heart, which is Community Land Trust, about making permanently affordable homes by separating the house from the land. And I would like to know, is that something that that can be invested in? Because I just think that component is important, because you was talking about the sad reality. A lot of our families do live day to day, or let's say week to week, or paycheck to paycheck, and which is, that means that they cannot save up because they're paying just to live. They can't save up for that down payment for closing costs. What are we gonna have in place for that to help them through that? So that's one of the things I know that you guys are looking at, and that I just want to make sure that something that's in my mind and my heart, just because it is difficult. And then I didn't realize that most of our homes are 75, over 75 years old, and that makes sense because we are an old community. So that makes so much sense. So therefore, we're dealing with lead paint. We're dealing with lead, piping. So I appreciate our city. So I'm just putting that out there, just with things that they have in place to transition, to help homeowners, and really making sure that our community is healthy. So I'm sorry, I threw all that at you.
That's great.
But I just want you to know just where I stand and what I'm going to be rooting for. And that's the main thing. And I appreciate wholeheartedly that you share this information, because unfortunately so many sometimes our community think that we're not heading in the right direction because, we all trying to survive. And I love the way and appreciate the research, but I'm like this, I want next step and how we're gonna help everybody navigate through it. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Um,
Yeah,
I yield the floor.
Thank you. Counselor, if I may, I will just say yes and. So yes, community land trust, yes, shared equity, yes, deeded restricted affordable, yes, tenant support, yes, down system and payment programs, yes to all of it. The need is so acute at all income bands that if we're thoughtful and build the right type of housing, it can be sustainable. Right now, building a 2,400 square foot house on a minimum of 3 acres is not necessarily sustainable as a community for our environment. So we need to look at doing things a little bit differently. So I say yes and if there are more ideas, yes to those as well. I think everything should be on the table.
On this side, okay. Councilor Hart, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Beth. It was a great presentation, and thank you, Councilor Dice. I love to see the Community Land Trust be supported and become more involved in our plan. I was wondering if you thought the accessory dwelling units would be one of the tools in our toolbox here. I think that was something that was suggested in the recent history, but I don't believe it passed. Is it worth a second look?
Part of the issue with ADUs, yes, it's worth a second look. Part of the issue with ADUs is that they're difficult in terms of financing. So you're building a house or you're building out a space in your home. There's one going in, or there's one with an application on Coveview in New London. It's near my parents' house. And I said, are they putting it on the lot? I'm trying to get a sense. It's in their home. But it's expensive, right? You've got to have plumbing, you've got to have, and if you have, some communities, not New London, but some communities require, a whole separate sewer service to that ADU. I think there should be more ADUs. We used to live, I live in a house that was built in 1903. It has a carriage house. The carriage house is now rented to a mom and 2 kids. So I think we should think about how we used to live and think about ways we can update those classic ideas, but in a more sustainable and modern way.
Peck,
Thank you, President Dominguez. Thank you, Beth Sibilia, for this presentation. It was very well put together. I can tell you did your homework. I have a question and a comment. The question is exactly, I think you mentioned it, but I just want to just clarify, is where did you get the data to support a lot of the research for this slide presentation? And then the comment that I have is that I agree with my colleague, Councilor Hart, with the ADA dwelling, because I know that some people that have parents that live home with them, they would like to possibly have that as a resource to build on their property to take care of their elderly parents or loved ones. The elderly is an area that I'm concerned with because they're at a fixed income. They're not able to go out and get a second job or a new career to keep up with the rising rent costs. So that's something that I am always concerned with is our seniors. And the ADA would assist in that area to allow people that have property to build on their home or their property to take care of the elderly loved ones. Again, if you can reiterate the fact that New London is at our cap for low-income, affordable, whatever you want to call it. I believe that other surrounding towns around us have kind of closed the door on close the door on allowing more affordable housing. And I say this to the fact that, the city gets kind of dragged down a lot on this topic about housing and housing insecurity when we're doing a lot, we're doing more, but you just have to have that balance. And you can't have the scale tip one way or the other. It has to be a you know, a nice even balance. So I say this to the fact that we have done what we can for affordable. I think and this is not for discussion tonight, is the issue of helping the residents that are here, further their advancement in careers or jobs to move up into some of these houses so we can have a flow of people going into the more nicer properties that are being built, so that we can have people filling the spots that they're leaving out of, so we can have a continual flow. I think it makes sense, and I believe you might agree with me on that point and that whole process. I think that is an area that we need to look at, is how do we support our community to get them to move up the ladder, so that we're not leaving anyone behind. Because I just don't like the fact of having this kind of thought that people in this area are not able to achieve. I think we should support people and let them know that they are able to achieve some of these nicer apartments, that there are a lot of opportunities here, and we need to look at that way to continually keep that going. So I don't want to ramble on, but I just want to leave you with that, and very well put together presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Your question was where did the data came from? It depends on the data point. One thing I didn't mention for those of you that are in nonprofit or like data, I will send around the link to our report. On the back side of the report, you can download every single data set that is in this report. So you can use it for your grants, you can use it. So some of it comes from American Community Survey data, some of it comes from the Labor Department. The information on sales of homes came from the Eastern Connecticut Board of Realtors, but it was all overseen by Regional Plan Association out of New York as our data collector, and they host our website for the report, for that report only. So I will send that link around. With respect to our seniors, and same thing with young people that are out in this market, Social Security, the average Social Security payment is $1,753 a month. And if there is a single person living alone in the city of New London, one could understand how difficult it would be to pay a rent and everything else that you have to pay on $1,753 a month. So we're seeing a real spike in housing insecurity in the elderly. And that ties in with your other point, but I just want to say young people are having a hard time saving the sufficient down payment for a $300,000 house. You need a conventional mortgage, you'd need $60,000 to put down. So increased first-time home ownership programs are a terrific way to go if there's inventory there. So that leads me to another piece of what you talked about, and that is, yes, building more units frees up the cycle so that people can move up or down or upsize or downsize, but in communities like Austin, Texas, that led the nation in building permits for residential units, there's been no decrease in pricing. In fact, they're seeing an increase in pricing because they're building the wrong thing. They're building luxury apartments. They're not building family units. They're not building starter homes. They're not building duplexes, triplexes. They're building very large, very amenitized, is the language, units. So it pays to pay attention to what you're building and what you're supporting. So that mix that I talked about in my presentation is ever present, whether it's single room occupancy or a triplex. I hope I answered all your questions.
I think you did. All right, any on my left side? Any counselor? Seeing none? None? All right. All right.
President, I just want one clarification. I want everybody to know that the individual drilling unit was passed during 2022, 23, during the year that I had the opportunity to be president. So I just want to make note of that because I
Yes.
worked real hard to make sure that that got passed.
And that's terrific. We just need to make sure our lending partners come along and understand the finances of an ADU.
All right, I just have a comment real quick. So I know that you said that we have the largest age group in Connecticut, right? 20%, 20 to 29, right?
No, not in Connecticut,
In-
in New London County.
in New London
And it
County.
may be Eastern Connecticut, I would have to look.
Okay.
I think Mansfield, which hosts UConn, may skew that a little bit, and Willimantic may skew it because of Eastern. But in New London County, yes, you lead the pack in 20 to 29-year-olds. So, you know, you're getting older on one end and getting younger on
Yeah.
another.
And then the other one is 50 to 54% housing is over 70 years old, you said?
75 years old, yes.
75. So I imagine looking at this, and I know you did New London, but I imagine all around it could be in this whole county, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's like, you know, that generation is going, eventually, either they have children who are gonna get those houses, they're gonna buy, they're gonna sell them. I mean, it's a cycle. It's a cycle that happens throughout, you know, and I guess when you say to build knowing, right, bringing a balance, and I think
Yes.
that's something that we're doing here in New London, you know? We're doing for, you know, all across, you can see it. I know some people might not say it, but, you know, I've been here, and I've been part of this council, and obviously these fine councilors here too, and I think that's one of the things that the mayor has been striving for, and Director Felix, right, to build these projects, to make sure that we have, you know, and I think, you know what, when you look at it, it's all, this is happening, it's all over the nation. You know, I mean, I don't want us just to think, oh my God, New London is all, no. This is happening all over the nation. Whether you go live in New York, whether you go live in California, wherever you're gonna live, this is, you know, it happens. You know, but again, there's programs out there to help. I mean, and you know, and there's different ways. When I think about me, I mean, I went to college. I got me a degree. I got me a job. I was able to buy a house. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be
Right.
owning a house. So there's different things, you know. I mean, and again, but it's possible. It's possible.
Sure.
I don't want us to. This is not doom gloom. You know, sometimes when we talk about this, people say like, "Oh my God, what's Listen, this is life. You know, I mean, it's not easy, but you got to stay in the fight, and you got to do what you got to do to be able. And there's programs out there available for you to, you know, find a way to do it. You know, so. But again, thank you for the presentation.
pleasure.
Love it. Thank you for your sidekick who came also here and did a good
She's
job
great.
on putting this together. So we appreciate Beth, and
Again,
thank you
thank
this
you.
evening for the
Appreciate it.
again. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, I'm gonna do the roll call vote, please.
Councilor Dice.
Yeah, roll call vote.
Oh, this is
Yeah, roll
it
call
vote
vote.
or attendance?
No, roll call vote for attendance, yeah.
Oh, for attendance,
Yeah.
okay. Present.
President Dominguez.
Yes.
Councilor Natartez.
Present.
Councilor Peck, Pro Temp Peck.
Present.
Councilor Hart.
Present.
Councilor Rosario.
Present.
Councilor Sadi.
Present.
All present.
Great. All right, with that, let's continue. There was no public hearings, and I need a motion to approve the regular meetings of January 6, 2025.
Rihanna Dice, so move.
Second.
All right, it's been seconded. All right. Any addition, abstentions, omissions?
All abstain.
Okay,
So it's not
thank you.
present.
Councilor Tatas. All right, with that, we'll vote. All those in favor to approve the minutes of January 6, 2025, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. Yes, sir.
Abstain with Counselor.
Thank you. An abstention from Councilor Tatas. Thank you, Councilor Sadi.
I apologize. So I'm going to abstain also. Is that-
Oh, you're gonna abstain too? Oh,
I was not here.
oh, that's right, you weren't here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, all right. So 4 yes and 2, 5 yeses and 2 abstentions. 5, yep, 5-2. 5 yes and 2 abstentions. Equals 7. All right, public comment. Welcome, everybody. We're ready. All right, so you know the drill. Come up, make sure the light is green after you state your full name and your address. City Clerk Jonathan Ayala will start the clock. You will have 3 minutes. At the 1-minute mark, he'll start letting you know that you have 1 minute left, and after that, we'll like you to, and appreciate if you will start closing on your statements. All right? Make sure you speak right into the mic. All right, right into the mic, like if you were to kiss it. Don't kiss, but speak right into that mic so we can hear you. And again, this is a public record. It's an account. You want to make sure they hear your voice, know what you have to say. Usually the newspaper hears this. If you want to get your quote on the newspaper, make sure you say it loud and clear. All right? So the website, you guys ready? Let's begin. All right, we got Alicia McVeigh. You're up first.
Sorry, you said that. Hi, my name's Alicia McAvey. I live at 38 Lincoln Avenue. Thank you so much to the CHIO folks. That was really great and informative. But I'm actually here tonight to talk about the contract for the management of the Community Recreation Center. I've read through the contract, and it has lots of thorough content and details. Unfortunately, what seems missing is an obligation to make membership accessible to the New London residents of all income. I know this is a major priority for the council and the mayor, and while I trust there are many conversations between the city's staff and Power Wellness about this priority, without a binding agreement, I'm just afraid it won't be absolutely enforceable. I fear that if it's ever necessary, we'll be able to change the fee structure in ways that make these beautiful new facilities inaccessible to many New London families and young people. I especially say that because the contract states management will, quote, operate the facility during the term in a business-like and cost-effective manner, but again, negates to say anything about making it affordable. So I'm here tonight to ask the council to hold off on approving this contract until such language can be added. So whether there's a fee structure that's been approved or simply just an obligation to make pricing for the facility accessible to New London residents, because we do know that if it's in writing, then it's enforceable and it exists. One other quick thing about the contract, and I'm certainly not a lawyer, so I don't know, but I did see in the non-disclosure, non-disparaging and non-competition clause, that's section 12, section B, part 2, says refrain from disparaging of manager or any of its employees, officers, directors, or agents, end quote. And I'm just curious if that prohibits us from having public conversation in this chambers if things are not going well, or if anything will have to be executive session if that conversation needs to happen, which I think would be unfortunate. And then the last thing I'll say, which is a bit of a pipe dream, but I'm just wondering if there's any way to make preferential hiring for New London residents a part of this contract. I look forward to hearing what you all have to think about this important contract as you process it. Thank you so much.
Excuse me. I'm trying to make sure is it Frida? Yeah, Frida. Yeah, I'm Frida. Because you don't have the, I don't know. All right, Frida. I don't know what happened. I couldn't see your writing today. I don't know.
Sorry for my poor handwriting.
No, usually I don't know what happened today.
I'm Frida Berrigan, 246 Connecticut Avenue. And I want to do two things tonight. One is to thank Councilor Dice and Mayor Passero, and perhaps there were other members of City Council at the demonstration, the gathering on Saturday. It was a real strong showing in lousy weather, and I really appreciate the leadership of the city as we as we enter a new phase in government. It was heartening and it was scary. It was important to be together, and I appreciate the leadership of the city in holding that space for all of us. So thank you. So that's the one thing, and then the other thing is I came to the hearing before this meeting expecting to be welcomed onto the Pedestrian Advisory Committee because I had submitted an application in October, and I understand there's processes there, but I had really just looked at the 4 vacancies on this critical committee and the many vacancies on many other committees. In the couple minutes in between, I was able to speak with Councilor Rosario. I'm going to text her on Monday, but I just kind of want to say to all of you that myself and at least 2 other members of the City of New London are interested in serving on that committee. Just even walking here tonight, noticing our community by walking, right? And as you walk, you notice who's doing a good job on their yard, who hasn't salted or shoveled their walk. You say hi to the other members of the community. Walking, to me, is a huge part of my life here in New London, and I'm eager to share all of my many observations as I walk with other members of the committee. So I guess I'm just hoping that there's more administrative committee meetings coming up, and that myself and other members of our community who want to civically engage have that opportunity. I noticed that 8 people were welcomed onto the various committees and commissions here tonight, and I know of at least 10 other people who are waiting in the wings, eager to serve on many committees that have many openings. So I'll leave it at that, and I look forward to hearing more from the liaison to the administrative committee, Councilor Rosario, early next week on all of that. So thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Lee McGrady. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Lee McCready, 44 Lincoln Avenue here in New London. I know I've spoken to you before about this, and it's great that we just got that wonderful presentation, because I want to finally address with you that you are allowed by law to adopt an ordinance in this city to give deed-restricted properties a tax break. And I've done it twice, and our Director of Law responded to all of you with kind of humor of, even though I copied and pasted it, that it was against the law and you shouldn't do it. That was my interpretation. And I want you to know that you can, and I encourage you to do so. We just got a presentation that we can't seem to get or keep affordable housing people here. It's because your assessor is taxing us to death, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the house value is worth this or house value is worth that. Our deeds and our restrictions specifically limit how much we are to pay our taxes and what the house is worth, and therefore our taxes are based on. But your assessor has said to me out loud in a public setting, she does not believe that we deed-restricted property owners deserve a break, that our break is because we got a good deal on getting our houses, that our mortgage and our rent is already low, so we should pay full taxes on that property. And I want you to do your absolute best to try and reconsider the ability to enact legislation in this city, for the city, to control how the city taxes our affordable housing and our deed-restricted property owners, because it is unfair. My house cannot sell for more than $130,000, but I'm being charged taxes on about $230,000. And I think that's very, very wrong. Thank you.
Okay, that was our last speaker. All right, with that, we will begin. There is no petitions, and then we have response to public comment. I'm going to start today. Thank you all for coming this evening. Thank you for your comments. Do want to get right to the main one, which is Alicia. we set the fees for the council does. We're gonna set them. Just like we do with Ocean Beach, the rates, we do it. And one of the things that I, and most of us, the majority of us, it's gonna be income-based. We're gonna talk about that. So it's not gonna be, because that's the reason why we got into this whole project, right? Our desire, and hopefully I'm speaking, I know for everyone here feels the same way, this is a New London community center. From the south to the north, to the west and the east, for everyone. Okay? So it's gotta be that way. We set it, and it's gotta be income-based. Can't be no other way. If not, Dominguez is out. All right, that's the only comment I have. Go ahead, President Pro Tem Akil Peck.
Thank you, President Dominguez. I just want to thank everybody for being here this evening. It's very cold outside, so the fact that you got out of your warm homes and came here means a lot to me, because it is very cold out there. So I just thank you, first off, for braving the cold and being here tonight with us. I just want to say to Mr. McCready, thank you again for always voicing your opinions and bringing it to our attention. In regards to the community center agreement that's on the agenda this evening, a lot of work was put in. Director Posey is here, and Director Reyes is back there. The mayor and a lot of officials have worked very hard on this, and I don't think that they would put together an agreement that wouldn't be right for the city. So I truly trust their judgment, and it's just a matter of getting the right partner for this community center. It's going to be a top-notch community center, and the presentation that they gave us during council, I thought was very well put together, and I don't have any. I feel comfortable with this firm. Nothing alarms me that we should be worried about. And I've looked at the backup and all the information that they provided us, and nothing alarms me. I will be supporting the agreement. And I just wanted to let you know, like President Dominguez stated, we're still looking at ways for affordability for students, seniors, and veterans. So it's nothing that's not on the table. It's just a matter of going through everything and making sure that we check all the boxes. So thank you.
Let me add something to that, too. When would that happen? When we're going to set these fees? During the budget process. The budget process starts in April. That's when we're going to do it, okay? Anybody else on the right side? Councilor Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, everyone who came out to speak today. And I won't go over ground we've already covered. But yeah, Frida, thank you for volunteering for the Pedestrian Advisory Committee, which was a committee I served on, and I think it's a great asset, and so I would love to see those 4 vacancies filled, especially since we have people eager to do so. And I just wanted to address the McCready's proposal. I know it has come up before. I was actually going to bring this up on a new business anyway later, because I saw our agenda was pretty light, and this seems like the appropriate time of year, because we could get it done in a timely manner. We have new committee appointments, so I guess it would fall to Councilor Nartates in her committee. But just to get into what Mr. McCready said, I believe we've had continued conversations with the law director, and there is a version of it that we could take up. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Law Director, but I believe that you did prepare a version that we could consider. Is that?
That's correct.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be, that's something we could consider next week if we wanted to. And I'd love to see it at least get a vote.
Councilor Dice.
First of all, I appreciate everyone coming out to voice their concerns and share their vision. And one of the things I have learned, sitting on the council, things don't happen overnight, because when you're looking at changing or adding, you gotta also look at the pros and the cons, and the best way to do it across the board, and have a policy in place to make sure that it's done correctly. So, but I do appreciate that. And as we look at, the community center, one of the things that I appreciate with the other counselors that's sitting around the table is that all of these counselors, so from their vote and their action, I notice that they're invested in making sure that the youth, the seniors, and the families of New London have an opportunity to participate in the community center. And I've been watching them participate in the different conversation. Some of the members here at council are part of other organizations that had these discussions with the rec department as they were looking to go to the next step. So I guess what I'm trying to say, it's always good to ask the question. It's always good to bring up, because we don't want to forget why we're doing what we're doing. And then the one of the things about the, just about the commissions and so forth, what I tell people, I appreciate the willingness and want to volunteer and to serve your community. And that's the best way for me to end. Thank you. I yield the floor.
Okay, this side? Okay, go ahead, Councilor Rosario.
Thank you, President Dominguez. I would like to thank you all for coming out in this cold weather. To Alicia, it's always nice to see you here. You always bring in very solid and valid questions. We appreciate you. Regarding the community center, as you know, we all are working as harder as you think to support the community with this community center. We are thinking that this is a very plus project for us, and we all concerned about who can be affordable to be in that community center. Trust me, this is one of the main goals we have here, that everybody will be available to go in that center. So don't ever think that we are like separating like status and people there. I love the question that you ask about hiring people. This is a very good question, and we are all thinking to bring this question in here, because of course it will be, and this is what I think. The community center is not gonna be running by his own, so we need people there. Thank you very much. To Frida, thank you so much for being in here tonight. I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. As Jeff said, we got spots empty there, and we are reviewing all these applications. So thank you so much. I'll be waiting for your call. And then for Mr., I always forget, McGree. So thank you for coming out. You always being in here, and your beautiful wife. We all think about like the increases we got in properties and the taxes we're paying, and we always remember, everybody here, the taxes is not in New London only, it's everywhere. This is a real estate issue, and it's not New London, it's in the world right now. So we always remember, everybody too, that we have years that we didn't pay taxes. So we all affected, but we're working to level things. Like some things go down, some things go up, but unfortunately, the taxes is something that we couldn't avoid to get some increases this time. And I believe 100% that the mayor worked so hard to get the levels of the taxes in the city for everybody in the best way. So thank you so much for bringing your concern. Thanks.
Okay, Councilor Sadi? No, you go. right, let's have, at this time, Director of Law, Attorney Landrigan. Any questions for Attorney Landrigan? All right, go ahead, Councilor Sadi.
Starting on the general slide, number 3, Shade Tree Commission, prepare for and attend the commission meeting, discuss creating new policies for the committee. I do see in our email that the commission did in fact meet, so just want to highlight that.
Yeah, it was basically the initial meeting. As you know, last year, the policies that the city had in place, arboricultural standards, probably butchered that 3 times, were repealed, and the council wanted to see the Shade Commission look at adopting possibly new procedures to bring forward and be adopted by the council. And I've been waiting to be invited to one of their meetings, and I finally was invited to one of their meetings. So we started the process, had a nice discussion, and staff, my understanding is their staff is going to start putting together the framework of some policies for our office to review.
And number 6, Mohawk Project, virtual meeting with Mohawk Alternative Pass-Through Grant from MARAB. I'm not really sure what that acronym is.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain. It's a federal agency that is loaning money to the project that is down on Eastern Avenue, where they are bulkheading and putting in large improvements along the shoreline.
That's the grant that would come to us to benefit them.
Correct.
On the litigation side, number 2, Jefferson Avenue drainage claim. Where are we at with that?
At the corner of Jefferson Avenue and Garfield Avenue, there's a property there that's claiming stormwater runoff is impacting their property, and had brought suit against the city and 2 abutting property owners that are uphill to the west of his property.
Thank you very much. I have no further questions.
All right, thank you, Attorney Landrigan. We'll continue with council committee reports. Councilor Rosario.
Thank you, President Dominguez. We have our committee meeting, administration committee meeting tonight, starting at 6:46, and we appoint a couple of the boards, as we mentioned before. If you want to see all these boards, the meeting was recorded, and you can find it in our website. We ended our meeting at 6:53 p.m. today, and regarding the couple applications that we have, President Dominguez, we always ask people like for the patient. We are reviewing so many applications, and this is something that takes time. We want to always find the goodest spots for the people who are applying, and as we know, these spots are sometimes empty, but we appreciate all the people who are applying, but we need to understand that this is a team here looking to feed those spots with the best way, and not to disregard or not to agree with not agree with people who are applying. We don't want to be disappointing anybody here or making feel anybody bad. It's just like we need to make the right decisions here, and this is what we're trying. I'm sorry, we sometimes can make everybody happy, and this is how the world works, but I'm working with all these applications. It's so much. It's a lot of work. Please be patient with me. Thank you so much.
Yep. All right, with that, we have the Mayor's Office Communications. All right, good evening, Mayor Passero, you have the floor, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. President, members of council. I hope you all enjoyed the long holiday weekend. I'm going to limit my comments and speak briefly about the one action item that's on your agenda tonight, and that is the management contract for the Community Recreation Center. I will put in one quick plug. This weekend is the Hygienic Art Show. It's one of the larger events that we have in this community every year. It's normally covered by national press, including the New York Times. Hygienic, of course, has been one of those institutions in this city that has kept us alive through the lean times, and they're still going strong. And there's great support for that event, so I'm looking forward to that. But tonight is a milestone in a goal that has been, I think, a universal goal for the residents of this city for 40 or 50 years, going back to when we lost the YMCA. And we've been lacking any kind of public indoor recreation facility, and it's been a long road to get to this point where the facility is expected to be completed by the spring, and we're moving into the operation phase. The goal all along has been to hire a firm that manages complex, large facilities like this. We engaged in an RFP process, and we're fortunate to have received 4 very, very competitive proposals from 4 national companies. So the competition was very tough to get down to a decision to engage in negotiations with Power Wellness, and we've kept the council in the loop throughout that process. But the goal all along has been really 2 very, very important factors, which is to keep this facility sustainable, which means we want to protect this asset. We've invested $40 million in it. It's going to be a first-class facility the day it opens. There's nothing like it in this region, and we want to maintain it as a first-class facility for years into the future. Number 2, we want it to be economically viable. And that economic viability is what guarantees our ability to provide access to this facility for everybody in our community, regardless of economic status. So the way that happens, the way it's economically viable, is it's professionally managed. It's marketed. This company will build up a membership base to support the facility. We'll build up sponsors. The excitement out there in the community is palpable for the opening of this facility, because there really has been nothing like it. The closest, I think the closest parallel I can think of is when the YMCA, which acquired the Mystic Community Center, when the YMCA, which is a great organization, I'm drawing a blank, but the Westerly YMCA is a regional facility, and they conducted a capital campaign to renovate the Mystic Y, one of their facilities. That created a lot of buzz and a lot of excitement in the region. But there's nothing really close to this area that's going to be like this. So I appreciate Ms. McAvey's concerns. It's always been the goal of this project to build a facility that's accessible to our children, that gives them a first-rate indoor recreational experience. As everybody knows, our city is known for the great athletes that we generate, for our outdoor recreation facilities, and now we'll be adding this amenity of having a first-rate indoor recreation facility. It'll be more than that. It's not just going to cater to our student athletes. It's going to cater to the whole community, and their wide varied interests, including interests in the arts. And it's going to provide meeting rooms. But this facility needs to be professionally managed. The company that we've picked out has, I believe, close to 50 facilities like this with pools, which is one of the more complex elements of the facility. So I'm pleased to say that two of the representatives from Power Wellness are here tonight, Brian Hammert and Max Hanner, and also, of course, Director Reyes, who I'm greatly indebted to for being the project manager throughout this and keeping this project on track and under budget throughout the last 3 or 4 years that we've actually been in the development phase. Of course, you don't have to pull it from the agenda. It can pass on the consent agenda, but I somehow suspect it won't. And I look forward to the discussion, and we have the resources here to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We're gonna move on because we're gonna talk about this, Mayor, so we'll just, okay? I know usually there's questions or comments, but we're gonna, all right, so with that, we'll move on to, well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you for sharing that. So with that, we'll go into the consent agenda, and that is President Pro Tem Peck.
Thank you. Consent agenda, that the consent agenda proposed set forth at the regular meeting, January 21st, 2025, are either accepted for the record, referred to the committee name, waived from the committee to be acted upon as proposed, or consented to as proposed. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so 7.1 unfinished business, 7.1, 8.0 new business, 8.1, just going to pull it. I got 7.1. Did I mess something up? Yeah, those are the appointments.
Do you go through the letters?
No, if you want to pull it, yeah, the action was taken in the committee. If you want to pull it, you can, but, I mean, I usually don't read all the appointments. I don't remember reading them. No, I don't. You want to pull it? Okay, 7.1, all right. Okay. 8.0 new business, 8.1. All right. All right, I got you. Yep. All right, 8.1, and now 9, no appointments, no executive session. All right, President Pro Tem Peck.
Thank you. All items have the unanimous support of the City Council are hereby.
There is no unanimous.
Oh.
Oh, yeah,
All right.
so everything's pulled.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so Sadi, go ahead, Councilor Sadi. 7.1, move it to Cam, please.
Cam,
Second.
City Council approves 7.1 actions of Administrative Committee at this meeting, January 21st, 2025, including A, B, C. Move to CAM, actions of the Administrative Committee at the meeting of January 21st, 2025, appointments to boards and agencies. I'm not going to read them all, but A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. I'll wait for a second.
Yeah, give me a second.
Thank you. At this point in time, there are 3 vacancies on Park and Rec Commission, and I would just like to, at this time, say thank you to Troy McKelvin for his 3 years of service. He did send us a letter of resignation last week, and the committee then voted to fill his vacancy as well as Karen Paul's vacancy, and also fill an alternate vacancy. So I plan on voting in favor of all these. Through you, Council President, to Attorney Lonergan. Attorney Lonergan, would it be possible to add letter I under Pedestrian Advisory Committee? And if so, how many votes would be needed to add that to the agenda?
It would need a two-thirds majority, because you'd be adding to the agenda.
Thank you. So at this point in time, I'd like to make a motion to add to appointments to boards and agencies, I, Pedestrian Advisory Committee, that the city council, excuse me 1 minute, appoints Frida Berrigan as a regular member of the Pedestrian Advisory Committee for the appropriate term.
I'll second that motion.
So it's been motion, been seconded by Councilor Hart. Discussion. Councilor Ansaltes.
Thank you, President Dominguez. So this is a first for me because it is the chair of that committee that
Thank you.
puts forth not nominations, but appointments.
Thank you.
And there is a process, so why would we, in the 8 years that I've served on this council, circumvent that process? This is a question for you, Council Sadi. Why would we do that?
Is it okay for me to respond to that?
I'm asking you.
Okay, yeah, no. So, I believe there was discussion, and, again, there's 4 vacancies. I don't see a need to wait another 2 weeks. I think that we have a person that's here that comes to meetings on a regular basis. She's an active member of the community. She's interested in serving our community. Why wait? Let's go forward with it.
So,
That's
I
the
want to
reason-
be
that's the
clear.
reason. You asked me a question,
yeah.
right?
All right.
So I'm going to answer your question.
Let's,
You didn't answer the question.
So I'm going to answer.
I know, but let's just remember, everyone, we're having a discussion.
Right.
That's all we have. And before, Nartatis, may I say something
I
before you
asked for
do?
permission to answer her question.
You did.
And I'm
And you
glad to
did.
do that.
And that's fine. I mean, it's all good.
So
Good.
just to make a comment, this is not that I do not support Frida. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with Robert's rules and the fact that there is a process. I mean, if that's the case, anytime a chair has a meeting and somebody wants to add it outside of committee, then
That's not
they're going to
valid.
do that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is not Robert's rules. This is not how we conduct city business. So, once again, has nothing to do with Frida, it has to do with the process. And the chair, who's sitting to my right, has the responsibility to call that admin meeting and add Frida to that consideration. Not pulling it from a cam in the middle of a meeting. I don't think that's appropriate, and I would not support that.
Yep, okay.
So, point of parliamentary inquiry, maybe our law director can tell us. I believe it's just a norm, and I don't believe there's anything in Robert's rules that forbids it. Items do not have to go to committee. They are sent to committee per our consent. We just agreed to send them there, and if you can object on the basis of norms, but I don't think it's against the rules per se.
So let me say something before I turn it on to you. Say, the norm of this body of legislators, when it comes to the administrative committee meeting, we have gotten back and forth, we have established that in our rules, that we have city council rules, and you were part of it when Don Bendito was here. We made it that we will take all the applicants who are worthy to be looked at, we will vet them together in a caucus, and then we'll come out and share. That's the process we have established, because before it wasn't done that way. And I don't think it's fair for us, them three, to decide that that's what they're gonna do. No, we all got it vetted. And we do it behind closed doors, we do it in a caucus. That's what has been established, that has been the norm, and that's the way that we've done it. So I understand, I mean, I don't have a problem with what you, but the reality is, that's how we do it. And I refuse to break something that we worked so hard on building, So I don't think there's a problem for you to wait 1 week, 2 weeks. We're going to get back together and discuss that. And you got to be part of the caucus to discuss it. I mean, that's how it is. And it's only fair. You know, we've done it for years. We're not going to break that tonight. And again, there's nothing against anybody that applies. That's just the norm, and that's something that's established from the beginning, and that's how I feel. And I like to keep what's working, I like to keep it. I don't like to change it.
Mr. President, if we are going to adhere strictly to Robert's rules, can I hear the answer to my parliamentary inquiry before we move on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, under Robert's rules, this board can remove something from a committee with a 2/3 vote, which is the same as adding it to the agenda. So historically, matters usually proceed within the committees and are not taken from the committees back to the board, but under Robert's rules, there is a procedure to allow that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't have an issue. I just stated what we, as the legislature, have been doing for years. And I'm not going to break that cycle, so if it's going to happen tonight, I'm going to have to say no. Not because I don't want it to be part, it's not my thing. I need to hear everybody vocally. Yes, 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 yes. If I don't hear that, then you know what, it's not working. Because this is a team. We don't do this individually.
If I may, I see both sides. I see Sadie's side as far as wanting to hurry up and fill the position, since you have someone who has a willingness to be a part of this committee. This person, Ms. Frida, is very active and has been very vocal that she wants to get involved. And I think if we collectively, like President Dominguez said, make a decision to either say yay or nay for the candidate, as long as they've been vetted and have gone through the process of through the chair of administration. Because on the same token, we don't want to discourage people. We don't want people that are watching this to feel as though I don't want to sign up or put my name down to be a part of one of these vacancies, because the process seems to not go according to the way they like it. But I see both sides. I see Sadie's willingness to hurry up and get the process going, but President Dominguez is right. You have to give respect to the chair of the committee. And as a committee member, we've had several discussions about the candidates that have filed an application. And twofolds, I don't think it's right to have an open forum discussion about this, because we don't want to make anyone feel bad. We don't want to, have an argument in public about, our thoughts on a particular candidate. So that's why we do it in caucus, and respectfully, to respect the candidates that have applied, we do it this way. And I think it's a way of respect to make sure that we vet all of them the right way, and then bring it forward to, as far as what we all collectively have thought. But at the end of the day, it lies at the chairperson. I mean, we have to give the chairperson that respect. That is their committee. They're in charge of it, just like other committees, public safety and so on and so forth. No one else gives input on any other committee, so we have to leave it to the chair and what the chair wants to do. So that's just my take on it.
Okay, Councilor Rosario.
Thank you, President Dominguez. I'm always being respectful to everybody here. And I understand we got discussions that we always try to be in the same page. Sometimes we can't. We got different thinking. Everybody has their own decisions, and I feel really disappointed with this Mr. Council Sadi, because it's nothing against to Frida, and she knows that. But as I told her before when she came to me, we got processes here. And it really hurt my heart right now that somebody is trying to go over me when I am the chair of this committee. We have meetings and discussions, And I will really appreciate if you guys can be patient with the application that I have on my hands. I am not going to take this, I'm not going to take pressures, and I am sorry if you guys can't wait for these. Tell me now, because I can do this in another way and walk away. I'm sorry, I'm not taking it. Thank you.
All right, we'll have Councilor Atates.
Yeah, I'll just end with this, right? For me, it's incredibly disrespectful for any chair, particularly in this case, Chairwoman Rosario. It's disrespectful for a chair to run a committee and then have it pulled and try to have the discussion in the middle of a council. To me, that's completely inappropriate. It has nothing to do with whoever applied, it's the process. And if I was chair of the administration committee, I would have a huge, huge problem with this as well. So I cannot support Council Sadi's recommendation.
All right, Councilor Sadi.
Just like an opportunity to update Counselor Dice. While you were out of the room, and I'm not exactly sure when you left, there was a motion to add I to the Administration Committee agenda, and the motion was to add that the City Council appoints Frida Berrigan as a regular member of the Pedestrian Advisory Committee. That motion was made by me, seconded by Councilor Hart. We talked to Attorney Lonergan, who said there needs to be a 2/3 vote of this body to add it to the agenda. And if it was added to the agenda, then, of course, it would be a simple, I believe, you didn't say that, but it'd be a simple majority to add her to the committee. I was asked by Councilor Natartez why I would do that, and I said because we have 4 vacancies, and that Frida Berrigan has been here, and she's been an active member who has expressed a willingness on a number of occasions to serve. And so I think that instead of waiting an additional 2 or 4 weeks, that we should just move forward at this point in time. So, and if I missed anything, Council President, feel free to correct me. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor if we want to add this to the agenda. So again, the vote will be yes. All right, we need 5 in order for it to be added to the agenda. Okay? All right, so all those in favor for it to be added to the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Nay. All right, and someone abstained. Okay. So,
Point of order, through you, Council President, to Attorney Lonergan, does a counselor have the right to abstain while they're in the council chamber?
Yeah, nothing inappropriate with that.
Thank you.
all right, so now the vote is 1 abstain, 2 no, and then 3. So it's
Motion fails.
2? Okay. Oh, you did? Okay. All right, okay. So it failed.
Thank you.
All right. Now let's vote for the main motion to receive all these new people on these boards and agencies,
I
okay?
believe, Council President, the motion on the floor is to appoint, not receive, for the record, to appoint these individuals to positions.
All right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, please.
Yep, all right, to appoint.
My belief is we've already received these for the rec. We're now on the recommendation of the Administration Committee appointing these people
Yeah.
to commissions.
We're going to appoint them all of them. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. All right, the motion carries. All right, 8.1, Councilor Sadi.
Move to CAM.
Second,
City Council hereby approves a contract with Power Wellness Management LLC to provide managerial services at the New London Community Center, and further authorize the mayor to sign the contract and any other documents necessary and incidental to effectuating said contract. Moreover, the City Council authorizes said contract pursuant to ordinance section 2-69 in paren C as a negotiated proposal. So, first of all, I can't believe anybody else didn't told us that we have a 5-year contract.
Councilor Sadi.
I wonder really how many people even read the contract,
Yeah.
but I do have a bunch of questions.
Just give me a moment real quick, just quickly. I know this is gonna be, all right, everyone's gonna have questions, but again, I'm gonna remind every counselor, 2 questions will rotate. Every counselor, and then we'll come back to the same person, okay? And I know everyone maybe has a lot of questions. Hopefully, some of you guys did email some of and met also with the mayor and with Director Reyes, who had that open all last week. They said that they were open for anyone to meet with them, and anyone that wanted to have a conversation, one-on-one could do that with the mayor and with Director Reyes. I'm just reminding everyone, that email was sent, and I saw it was city councilors. So everyone was added to that. So again, just a
President?
reminder, 2 questions, and we'll rotate, okay?
President, I just want to I'm saying that I can't hear that well, so I know Seti started it. If you can bring your mic up closer, just so I can hear the questions, I really would appreciate that. Thank you, President.
You're welcome. All right, Councilor Sadi, we'll start with your 2 first.
Through you, Council President, to either Director Reyes and/or Director McBride, who's best to answer. So I'll turn your attention to the contract in question, and it's the contract, page 2. About this 2.1A, halfway through the paragraph, the manager will plan, the use and standard of operation services, the manager will plan the operation of the facility and manage the facility, including the employment and management of facility staff, and provide services to develop and operate the facility. So my question to whoever is best to answer that is there any caveat that we are going to be hiring or giving preferential treatment to New London residents?
I can answer that. It's kind of 2 pieces. I heard 2 questions in there, if you don't mind me answering both of them. Does it work? All right, wonderful. I heard two questions there. One on the managers, essentially their authorization to run the facility with the rec department. Is that correct? Right, so then the first question, and this is something we discussed as well, that I think it's a good point to bring up. So just for context, how the rec facility and how this kind of master calendar will be created, that's in conjunction with the rec department. So our facility operator, Power Wellness, will be working and sitting down with the rec department to ensure their programs are coordinated within the facility. That is done months in advance to ensure that their programs are covered. So that's the when we're looking at priority of scheduling and running the actual facility, that is done both in conjunction with the recreation department. So that's they just want to ensure that that's what that says in context of what we're looking at. The other piece of that is the hiring process. We expect dozens of new hires. What was mentioned in the RFP, what was mentioned also in the presentation is that the City of New London will be looking and reviewing all job descriptions. HR has already reviewed job descriptions for the facility director. We have our legal especially Brian Eastep, that helps us with the unions to understand the types of jobs that we're bringing to this facility. As presented the last time, we're looking for local hiring. I mean, this entire project is an economic development project that comes with jobs. And the intention of the hiring process is to hire local residents. So we are looking forward to really ramping up in a short amount of time. When I mean a short amount of time, like in the next days, we're going to start seeing the jobs publicized for the positions, both full-time and part-time, for this facility operator.
And again, my concern is the verbiage, sole and exclusive right. And it does say after that, to manage. But again, I have to believe that would be both in the hiring of personnel and in the delegating time slots to make sure that it is the children, you know, not just the quote people that have the ability
Correct.
to pay.
Correct. I think, you know, every time that we have public comment on this community center, it's one of the biggest concerns, and it's not going to go away until people actually see it, right? So we can talk about it, we can share all the efforts, but I understand and I fully appreciate people's, you know, their concerns to say, until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. Yeah, until I see, you know, the children actually use it. But I can tell you right now, from the inception of this project, the mission statement of the impact study that was done, that was approved by this council, has always been, we have to build a beautiful facility for our kids, but we also have to figure out a business model so they can have a facility. So we have both. There's two things that we're talking about here. We're talking about a facility that has amenities that will attract a membership to pay for the operations of the facility. So then our parks and recs, who will be there, can run their programs and give our children's, you know, the opportunity to have those spaces and have access to those spaces. So that's always been the model. That's what the council approved, the bonding, the $30 million, and that's what this contract, and that's what we intend to bring to the budget season when we go through rates, when we go through budgeting process, how this is entirely structured. That's never changed. But I understand, until people see it, till the place is open, we're gonna have concerned residents. I can appreciate that. I mean, that was our concern from the beginning, and that's how we built this model. So we are working on proving that model to the point that we get it open, and then show the community, see, this is how we've worked through all those hurdles.
Consider that the two
Okay.
question,
Yes,
comments,
sir.
whatever.
Yes, sir. I'm going to jump around, guys. President Pro Tem, you have two questions? Two questions. I'm going back and forth to make it like this. I don't want to just mix it up a little bit.
Thank you, President Dominguez. I believe, well, I'll leave you with two comments, okay? If that's okay. I believe we had a great presentation. I believe, Councilor Sadi, you were here during that presentation that Power Wellness Management gave us, and they underlined all the things that you just talked about. They talked about hiring, and they did talk about giving New London residents, you know, first dibs, if you will, on jobs. So all that was covered, and they laid it all out well, very well. I know that Director Posey and Director Reyes had several town hall meetings before we got to this point of choosing a management firm, and we asked the residents, school-age kids. I know, Dominguez, you were part of that with the middle school. I know I went to a couple of them that were at the center, and so we've had a lot of discussion about this. And here we are at this point where we have a viable and very successful management firm. They've been in business successfully for over 25 years. And just if you look at their core values alone is what blew me away. It sums up everything that has to do with New London. They have a lot of partners and facilities that they work with that are in the health field, And I think it's perfect for the fact that we have Lawrence Memorial and Yale Hospital and Pfizer's across the river. So the possibilities with the resources that they have and the knowledge that they have to possibly, get these companies, involved in the community center is endless. So again, the presentation was put together. They were here. Director Reyes has been very much involved. And I know that residents can't hear what we talk about or cannot read our text messages or our emails. And that's why I'm glad that you did pull this, Cam, and I'm sure someone else would have pulled it, so we can have this discussion so people can listen on their own about what's going on in the community center, because this is a hot topic here in the city, and we all just want to make sure that this is done properly. But again, I will say it again and again and again, I support Power Wellness Management, LLC, as a management firm for our New London Community Center, because I have looked at their website and I have looked at their backup, and they have been in business for over 25 years successfully, and they have the capability to make sure that we have the top-notch and the very best community center in northeastern part of Connecticut. Thank you.
Councilor Antates.
Thank you, President Dominguez. What's important to me is having a sustainable business model. And so I'm glad you made those comments, because for me, we are hiring this firm to make this project sustainable long-term. And that means that they have to hire the right people. Councilor Peck made a comment, I agree, like they should give preference over New London residents that qualify for those positions, because if 5 years from now or 4 years from now, if we don't have the membership there, it's not going to be a sustainable, successful project. So I also did a little research on the company. I'm glad we had five bids to go over this. I think we made the right choice. I've reviewed the contract, and I support this going through the CAM tonight.
Councilor Dice.
One thing about when we're looking at going forward with the community center, I appreciated that the NAACP youth and the Drop In Learning Center parents and youth had their input. And that was important, to know that they had all the different organizations from the community that wanted to be involved to say what they see. And so the next step is making sure that it's sustainable. And I approve of this. I approve of this company because I wanted to be here from generation to generation, but I appreciate that the foundation is what the community wanted. So I yield the floor.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Councilor Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I only really have one question about the contract language, and it's maybe a little bit of legalese. I had a constituent question, and I'm not sure myself how to answer it, so I apologize for not sending it in advance. This just came up. But in Section 13, there's the confidential information. It talks about the owner's confidential.
Point of order, would you please mention what page we're talking? I know you said
Page 16. So Section 13 starts at the top of page 16. And it talks about the owner's confidential or proprietary information. And some of it is stuff that you would expect to stay confidential, like client data and people's account information and things like that. Then others of it seems like things that we might actually look at or discuss in public, like client satisfaction information, strategic plans, administrative policy. I was just wondering if you could clarify, is this section what we are in control of the confidentiality of? That is to say, it's our discretion whether we talk about income and expenses? It's our discretion whether we talk about administrative policy? Or is it something that is confidential that we have to keep confidential per this contract?
Yeah, I guess there's sort of two levels of confidentiality. One is whether or not something is subject to FOIA. So that would really be the initial position or starting point. So if we're talking about financial information or something that would be not disclosable under the Freedom of Information Act, then it would carry forward that it would be more appropriate to speak about those things in an executive session or privately. But I would also say that the city always has the ability, put it a different way, the Freedom of Information Act is a shield that the city can use, but it doesn't always have to use that shield. So if there was consensus with the contracting parties that a discussion or information could be made public, that can always happen.
Okay, I think that makes sense. So in spelling out the owners and the managers' different fields of influence here, we're talking about what we are allowed to maintain confidentiality of. We could answer a request if we wanted to, provided it doesn't violate some other, like employment data or some other thing that we can't distribute. If we wanted to talk about, say, client satisfaction information.
Yeah, I mean,
for that.
typically, I guess there's a lot of different categories in all of this, so there'd always be sort of a case-by-case basis. If there was a situation where Power Wellness felt that the information was proprietary and we felt it was not, then there is a procedure for that under the Freedom of Information Act, which is we decide that we think it should be released, and then the Power Wellness could obviously ask the Freedom of Information Commission to have it remain confidential. So that probably isn't true for all of the examples that are potentially under this Section 13, but I guess just a long-winded way of saying that if there's consensus among the parties, it can be spoken about in public. If there is not consensus among the parties, that's why we have the Freedom of Information Commission.
Okay, I appreciate the answer, and I hope that answers our constituents' question as well. Thank you.
Okay. All right, and I'll just have a comment. We did have, Power Wellness Management come and give us a great presentation last time that they were here. I mean, a lot of the questions that I had, they were answered. I mean, and again, there were 5 bids out there, and I believe they were the best to do this. This incredible thing that we're doing in London. We're going to have the first community center of the city the city has ever had. And they're the right people to do it. They explained how they're going to do it. The contract is here, so I will definitely be supporting this tonight. With that, I'm going to go back to Councilor Sadi with 2 questions.
Thank you very much. Moving forward, more of a statement review, manager and agent of owner shall have control and discretion in the operation of the facility. And then manager shall, in collaboration with owner, determine the hours of operation for the facility.
Councilor Sadi, point of order, can you tell us what page, what section?
Oh, I apologize, same page, page 2.
Okay. Page 2 and, okay.
Page 2 about, it's actually one large paragraph, so I would say about 2/3 of the way down. On the left-hand side, the statement starts with the specific limitations.
Okay. Thank you.
Set forth in this agreement, manager as agent of owner shall have control and discretion in the operation of the facility. And then at the bottom, the last sentence, in collaboration with owner to determine the hours of operation for the facility. And I'm just wondering what those hours of operation are going to look like.
Sure, and that's a good question. I think something to bring up. And this is one of the reasons why we need a facility. Our recs department, as great as the work that they do, they don't work 90 hours a week. Excuse me. And this facility will probably be open for around 90 hours, 12 to 13 hours a day. We anticipate that the facility will open between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. We anticipate that our seniors will probably be there bright and early every day to open up our recreation center and use it throughout the day while our kids are at school. And then after the kids are dropped off after school and playing and using the facility, we anticipate a cycle of crowds and users all the way to probably 10 o'clock. So it's gonna have long hours, highly used, and open early. So that's what we can anticipate for hours of operation.
Thank you. And regarding that, will there be a breakdown in the type of programming that will be offered, for example, whether it be aquatics, the use of the gym, and things like that?
Sure, so good question. I think, and that's going to be a lot of people's question is, how do I use it? How do I sign up? How do I rent the space? And that obviously is all to come. But as mentioned earlier, there's a master schedule, and there's 90 hours of usage that have to be filled out, and that will be filled out with a combination of recreational departments, other associated programs that Power Wellness, which I will say that we're not going to say Power Wellness much too longer. They're just going to be our New London's facility operators. That name will fade away, but they're the masters of the calendar, and they're going to ensure that the programs that fill in the calendar are what the community needs. That's why we do it, year over year. But we anticipate that and that process being public, so local organizations, moms and dads, businesses can start kind of get a good understanding of what the facility will provide, how to kind of get their name, their name in the hat to say, hey, listen, I would love to utilize the basketball court. I'd love to utilize some of the lanes in the aquatics center, and all that will be available to them shortly. As part of the pre-opening, all that will be available.
Thank you. So just, my quick math says if you open at 5 o'clock in the morning, you go to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, that's 12 hours, 12 times 7. If it's open 7 days a week is 84. If you go from 5 till 9, that's an additional 4 hours. If you go 5 to 10, 6. 6 times 7 is 42. It's almost 126 hours.
That's why I said 90. See, he's good at that. I use averages, so it's
but
about
yeah.
it's about 90. It's average. Where you may have some weekends that will open up a little bit later, allow for cleaning, and you might have some things that have to happen. So 90 is about average, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah. So and again, now we're on the top of page 3, and it deals with, and again, I move back to the owner will determine operating services provided at the facility, including establishing pricing and development of marketing materials and publicity. Again, that's top of page 3. And you and I did discuss the fees, and then I also noticed later on it talks about $35 per month or thereabout, and it may be a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on where we're at.
Sure. So that's a good question. So, fees, and everyone is anticipating what it's going to cost. And until council approves it throughout regular process, just like, Ocean Beach or anything like that, we don't have an exact number. But we looked at what kind of average fees are, categories, and what's important at this point is that we've been able to address the equity issue, like how do we get families to be able to afford this? And the two things is, number one, we are establishing a resident versus a non-resident rate. The reason we have to have a resident rate versus a non-resident rate is because guess what? The residents are already paying for the building, right? So we have to ensure that they have a much more reduced rate than someone who's not paying for the building. And then the second tier, this helps with the sliding scale, is our scholarship rate. So we're going to be working with youth affairs and working with our families to ensure that those families that want their kids to have memberships and can't afford it, we put them in the scholarship. So we have resident rate and scholarship rates to ensure that we address the economic kind of hardships from our families. But the averages come out between like $35 a month, and that is resident and non-resident all combined. We put everything together. That's about the average rate. That's not what the kids are going to pay. That's not what residents are going to pay, but that's the average rate.
So it's my understanding in reference to rates, the rates are in fact going to be paid to the city. And then later on in that same paragraph B, again, we've already talked about manager shall directly employ all personnel. And again, my belief and hope is that that will be a majority of New London residents. and that the manager will provide owner an invoice for the upcoming month's estimated aggregate cash. So my understanding is the money is going to go from the users of the facility to the city, and the city's going to then reimburse the manager. Is that the way it's going to work?
Yeah, I mean, this is a city property. So the good thing about this, I mean, it has a business model to ensure the sustainability and the finances of it, but everything is transparent. It's money coming in, these are the bills, and these are the money going out. It's a very simple process where memberships paid goes into the fund which our finance director controls. He's going to get a monthly financial report, so we're able to manage, you know, things, and this is really important because once you're seeing the kind of financial outlook month over month, you start to look at patterns and trends. God bless you. You can make adjustments. All that is critical as we get to the point of full sustainability, where the facility then starts providing profit.
And then the
All right,
burden...
Councilor Sadi.
Thank you for the reminder. No.
All right. Any councilors here that have two questions?
Just clarification, because if I'm not mistaken, this is what we do anyway. Money coming in goes to the city, and then we pay out. Finance director, is that correct? Because that's why we have these different,
Yes, the slight difference will be that they'll actually pay their expenses. They'll submit to finance a weekly reconciliation of the expenses, then we'll reimburse them for the cost they've actually paid from the receipts of the revenue.
so basically, we're looking at just an additional department, because would that be under the rec department with just them being invoice going to the management company? How would you classify it in the bookkeeping?
Yes, this will be set up as an enterprise fund, which in your audited financial statement will be just like WCPA, Stormwater Authority, and so forth. They'll have revenue expenses per their individual entity, not part of the general fund.
Okay. President Pro Temp? President Pro Temp, you have anything?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you good?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
It's just long. Yeah, I do have something.
All right.
Real quick. I just want to say that, that again, we did talk a lot about this, and I know it deserves enough discussion, and I know that Sadi pulled this so that we can have the discussion, because it is very important that people hear, again, that are at home, because, again, they cannot read our minds. They're not privy to our conversations via the phone or email. But again, I have done several tours with Director Reyes, with Hearing Youth Voices, and I've done 2 tours with Hearing Youth Voices, and some other tours with some other members of the community. So we have been transparent as far as what's going on at the community center. We've also involved a lot of the input of our residents. We've had several town halls. A lot of the town halls, there wasn't many residents that showed up. It was very, there was enough time. There was enough, as far as it was out there through the school system, as far as having these town halls. So again, we are at the point where we're choosing a viable management firm that I believe will do a great job in managing this large facility. And again, I support them, and I think that's, if we really want to see this succeed and see them succeed, we really need to get behind them and support them with everything that they need to continue to do a good job when they do move in there and start managing the community center. So, and I plan on supporting them and showing up and making myself available to whatever they need to help get the excitement from the members in the community, and to welcome them. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor?
Thank you, President Dominguez. Well said, Pro Temp Pack. We've had several presentations, several tours, been vetted. Director Reyes has been before this committee multiple times. We've had enough time. I'm at this point going to ask to move the question.
Do we have a
Can I
second?
get a second?
Brianna Dice, second that.
All right, so let's vote. All right, all those in favor to, oh, go ahead.
Just as a quick refresher, so you're moving the question, which is going to end debate. So that requires a two-thirds vote. If this motion passes two-thirds, then you go immediately to approval of the CAM. That only requires a simple majority, just to keep things straight.
Okay, everybody got that? All right, okay. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. President Pro Tem Peck?
Yes. I said yes.
Yes, he said yes.
Yeah, I waved my hand. You forgot.
Oh, no, he was pointing, he pointed to your Attorney Landrigan, so I don't know
I
if
believe
he...
the motion to move the question passed 5-2.
Yep.
So it met the two-thirds majority. Now you're going to vote on the CAM.
All right,
Yeah,
so-
I'm the little fella in the corner. Yeah, I'm over here, yeah.
All right, so now we're gonna vote on the CAM, okay? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Okay, so it's 6-1.
Okay.
Okay, the motion carries. Approved. One more motion, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, it's been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, the motion carries. This meeting is over at 9:03 PM. Thank you, and good night, ladies and gentlemen.